2020 Season 4 has been one with twists and turns. Several different drivers have shown improvement throughout the campaign, but for several more, the championship fight is all within reach. 3 drivers have separated themselves among the best of the best. Kenny Kibbe, Justin Morton, and James Lowe have all been consistent throughout the campaign. But one, J.R. Shepard, has been charging from a missed race on forward. With a performance like he's had the past few weeks, today he has a strong chance of making it a 4-car scrap for the championship for the Bootleg Racing League's Grand National Series, presented by the Cruise Shop and Motorsports Drop. Good evening, everyone, and welcome to the virtual Southern National Motorsports Park for Race 7 of 2020 Season 4's campaign here on the Global SimRacing channel. I'm Justin Prince. Alongside of the booth tonight is Devin Henry. Behind the scenes is our director, Sean Ambrose, and he's using cameras provided by Dougie Beard. There's a lot to talk about when it comes to Southern National, whether it's been the racing history when it comes to the series here, or whether it's the history itself. Let's take a look at your GSRC track guide to find out some of that.
Southern National Motorsports Park has a few distinctions. Opening in 1993 as a 4/10 mile oval in Lucama, North Carolina, the NASCAR Modifieds and Southeast Series made stops here regularly, in addition to the weekly racing. The track closed during the recession in 2008, but reopened only a few years later. Since that reopening in 2012, the 17-degree bank turns have seen nearly constant action. Racing occurs throughout the summer, with 16 weeks of that action featuring various late model divisions, street stocks, and Legends machines. Regional series make stops here, mostly consisting of cars in the super late model and late model varieties, but even some truck series make stops here, adding to the diverse car type that turns laps. The Thanksgiving Classic is one of the premier events at Southern National, with everything from super lates to trucks to bandoleros having races here over a 3-day span. Now it's time to watch some racing in front of 4,500 strong at Southern National.
That was a look at your GSRC track guide for Southern National. Now let's my broadcast partner for tonight, Devin Henry, as we get ready to go racing here. This has been one that's put on some crazy races in the past in Bootleg Racing League competition.
Yeah, Justin, this is just a fun track and also now free for everyone on iRacing. And so I know of a plentiful amount of people who have finally hit Southern National for the first time. And it's almost like your good old classic bowl of a short track. And that brings so many difficulties on this 4/10 mile when it comes to corner entry, corner exit, rolling back onto the throttle. 17-degree corners here, 7 degrees on the straightaways as well. And I think one of the competitors, Jeffrey Harden, who is often commenting on our YouTube page, put it best. It's like going 100 miles per hour in a washing machine with all your friends. And that is about as close as I can get to describing Southern National.
Couldn't have said it better myself as well, indeed. Before we get towards the standings, let's talk about the presenting sponsors of the Bootleg Racing League and its Grand National Series. First, the Cruise Shop. Team of highly experienced travel agents that have a huge passion for travel. Cruise Shop specializes in cruises as well as all-inclusive resorts, escorted tours, Disney, family travel, groups, honeymoons, and weddings. Love to have the opportunity to help you with an extreme vacation. Give them a chance by calling them today at 260-755-6125 or by going to www.thecruiseshopfw.com. Series is also presented by Motorsports Drop. Struggling to keep track of what's happening in all of the biggest racing series each week? Then Motorsports Drop is for you. Catch up with last week's big winners, the biggest races on this weekend's calendar, or big stories in the world of racing with quick news bites on Mondays and Fridays. Subscribe to the show on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Spreaker, Google Podcasts, and more. Search Motorsports Drop to find them, or find their full list of providers at linktr.ee/Motorsports Drop. Also recently joined the Down and Dirty Shows category of Motorsports Podcasts. Now, These drivers are getting ready for round 7, as mentioned moments ago. In the point standings, they are tight. Kenny Kibbe has just a 5-point lead over Justin Morton and James Lowe in the standings. James Lowe, 2 victories. Morton and Kibbe looking for their first victories of the campaign still. But there is one looming J.R. Shepard who is slowly but surely closing in after 4 straight victories. He missed one of the early races on the campaign. And remember, he dropped 2 of his victories from last season. He has a chance, if he wins again tonight, to close up that gap near completely and is at pace to reach the rest of the field by the second to last race. Jeffrey Harden rounds out the top 5 with 190 total points on the season. Now, Devin, let's remind the fans about your race details as we get ready to go racing tonight under the lights.
You mentioned J.R. Shepard moving up through the point system. We knew that he was going to miss a race. We knew that he was still going to be in the championship hunt. This is only round number 7 of the 11-race season. And as you said, Justin, there's a chance that he's back in this title hunt with just 2 races to go. So a couple races can put him back in contention. These 100-lap races are almost endurance-type races on a short track, in part because there are no tire changes. No matter what you do to your car, you have to stick with that set of tires all 100 laps, and you only have a single fast repair to get yourself acclimated to the race. 19 cars right now entered, so we have almost a full field, and almost one of my favorite parts of the series, no qualifying. The grid is set by last week's results, and the top 8 from last week get inverted. So first place will start no worse than 8th. But then the fast guy still coming from the back. 8th place starts on pole from last week.
Indeed, by the way, live timing and scoring is available for tonight's race at gsrc.tv to keep up with your favorite teams and drivers throughout tonight. And it's a track that's been very tricky in the past for these competitors because you mentioned the washing machine effect. That is a great way to describe it, in my opinion, because you're carrying a ton of speed. You have to drive to the bottom of the racetrack if you want to keep on pushing forward. You push up the racetrack. Guess what? You end up becoming one of those lost socks in the dryer portion of the washing process for your clothing. If you end up getting to somebody, then, well, you rip your clothing apart, so to speak, into the washing machine.
Yeah, and that is a great way to put it. It's so deceiving here because of the high speed, and you're thinking, oh, you know, I'm not pushing up the track too bad. I can get back on the gas. Okay, well, the rear tire's just going to come out from under you, and you're going to spin out. Or you're going in on corner entry, and you're like, you know, I got this high speed. I almost feel comfortable to pass 20, 30 laps of green flag racing. So you don't slow down quite as much going into the corner, and boom, you're flying up towards the wall. And there's so many different ways that this track can just get you inside of your head because you almost get too comfortable with the speeds here, and that completely will ruin your race if you're not on top of that wheel. It comes down to mental fitness, right, Justin? You have to be able to go 100 laps, pushing as hard as possible without taking your mind off of what is at stake every time you go into the corner.
Indeed. Your fastest driver on the track, by the way, is J.R. Shepard, who, by the way, dominated the modified race earlier on tonight. That stretched to more than double-digit caution flags nearly. Todd Liston, though, is up to second on the board at the moment of 14-3. Jason Menda, Bobby Rafferty, and Brian Dean rounding out the top 5. Now, I want to touch upon Bobby Rafferty, who is pulling off to the side of the racetrack at the moment. The Jim Beaver Esports machine, he's been running a part-time calendar this season. But whenever we've seen him on the track, he's been very quick. The downside, again, if you don't run the full calendar and run inside the top 8 each week, you get the start of the tail end of the field and have to cut through everybody.
Not the first time we've seen Bobby Rafferty have to do it, and I'm sure not the last time either. He's just out here trophy hunting, and he knows how to get it done through 100 laps. I have all the confidence in the world that Bobby Rafferty will make his way through the field. At the start of this year, he had problems, though, when he was coming through the field to kind of keep his composure, trying to run up and trying to use too much of the car that was left. And that's an aspect that here at Southern National can come back and bite you. And so Bobby Rafferty is going to have to be patient throughout the night to try to bring home a victory. And yeah, like you said, coming from the back.
One of the other drivers who will have to come from the back, just the second start for Chris Davis. And what a time for that to come into play, the 77. keep an eye on him as well. Here's a look at him specifically, a 14.5 quickest time. This is how quick this track can be. Half a second's the difference between the slowest time on the board and the fastest time. And this is all while drivers, as you can see, are struggling on corner exit. Some of them loose, some of them struggling just to get off the throttle in general.
And then some of them struggling to knowing when to get back on. Obviously, you want to use as much momentum as possible, but that's just not always possible. There you go right there. Chris Davis trying to give it as much gas as possible, as soon as possible, to get that run down the straightaway. Just that little bit of extra gas makes those rear tires spin and head out from under you. And unfortunately, you're going to be climbing fences in that manner. So that's just another aspect of this track that you have to be careful about. And I love short track racing. I know that every short track has its own niches that you have to be very good at, and that's almost every aspect. But when it comes to the bowls, like here at Southern National, this is an aspect where every single part of the track can really bite you and ruin your race at any given moment.
Keep in mind, the official racing, when it comes to the Chevrolet National Impala, this is the specific car name, mind you, on the iRacing service, comes to this circuit, they can be crazy because those races, mind you, are without caution flags, usually 50 laps distance in the short tracks. In other words, you have trouble there, you're likely having trouble the rest of the race because you're likely going to have to come to the field on fresher tires. This is not the type of series, though, where you can get the fresher tires part of the aspect. You make a mistake here, you're going to likely potentially lose a ton of time. It is so easy just to miss the corner entry, mind you, let alone get into an incident.
Yeah, and that's what makes Southern National a little bit more difficult when it comes to tire conservation. And in part, that's the high speeds, that's the high banks. And we look back at who? J.R. Shepard, who is typically the best driver in the field when it comes down to conserving those tires, to having something late in the race to utilize. If you can't pass anyone late in the race because your tires are too worn out, then you're probably going to be the guy who's getting passed. So you have to find a way to be conservative enough to keep those tires, but not fall back outside the top 10. We have seen a few different races this year where there have been long green flag runs. And if you are too conservative and you get stuck around 10th, there's a chance that you don't even get into the invert for next week because you're conserving those tires. Or even to that point, you won't get in the top 5 because these races, a few of them now, have gone long green flag runs towards the end. So it all comes down to a balance, and, you know, seeing here on corner exit, that's another balance here at Southern National.
Yes, indeed. Justin Morton, by the way, second, as you can see here. He's been quick, Kenny. Kibbe has been quick, but James Lowe, as we talked about a little bit before, was struggling in practice. He's P8. You're saying James Lowe, does that concern you that you struggle with the grip knowing your other competitors are right up there with the pace of not just Rafferty, but Shepard, Kibbe, and as well, could be the favorites to all win this race. There could be a 4-car scrap at this moment, and James Lowe might not be in it.
And you know, that's a great question because I'm really not sure, because James Lowe has those pair of victories here, and that has come from his patience on the track. And even in those races, he wasn't great at practice speed. I mean, there has been a variety of tracks that we have visited, and James Lowe was not in the top 3, the top 5 fastest practice times, and he's fine during the race. And so that's might just be a point of having the experience on old tires. That helps out too. But I mean, when I race, and I'm not as skilled as I think anyone on this track, but when I'm slow in practice, I'm very concerned, and that hurts me mentally. For James Lowe, I don't know if that's the same case because he just gets out on the track and he runs like a pro, and he's able to get those good finishes out of the board.
With that, all the drivers now exiting the track and getting ready to roll their cars onto the grid. It's time to take a look at how we'll start for tonight's action from Southern National Motorsports Park. With the invert, you'll see Steven Spees bring us to the green flag this time in the 55 car. He secured the pole in the battle for P8 last week as Austin Valky will start on his outside in his Jeff Gordon throwback. Justin Morton starts in row 2 after a rough race last week with Brian Dean to his outside. Dean was quick on the short run at the bull ring at Las Vegas. James Lowe will start 5th with Kenny Kibbe and J.R. Shepard. Among your invert cars, Jeffrey Harden end up moving up to P8. 7 cars of your inversion members competing tonight. Mike Holloway starts the ninth, while Donnie Moore rounds out your top 10.
And looking through the rest of the field, it's a pretty stacked group here tonight. Adam Gebel joined us tonight in 11th, Bruce Pearson in 12th. Todd Liston will start off in the 13th position, Joe Segala in 14th. Inside of row 8 will be the boss man, Lowell Jewell. Outside of him is Kurt Smith, starting 16th place here tonight. 17th will be Bobby Rafferty. He'll have to start from the back. Jason Menda in 18th. Mike Allen and Chris Davis round out your 20-car field tonight at Southern National Motorsports Park.
One of the larger fields of the season so far. One more pace lap expected before we get the green flag. Your keys to victory.
Be patient. Do not get on the gas too soon. Don't use up your tires too soon. Brake a little bit early. Literally do everything correct and you will win this race. But another thing that you have to watch out for is aggression. Watch down that rear view mirror. Don't put yourself in a bad situation early.
Getting ready to go racing. Steven Spees in control of the field. He's shown good speed off and on for vigorous racing throughout 2020. See how he does from the jump. He has 3 championship competitors behind as the green flag set. We're underway from Southern National. And Spees pushed right up the hill, coming down the back straightaway. Already Morton to second. And the bottom line, just like that, showing its magic.
A phenomenal jump by Spees, but Morton rolling up right to the rear bumper of Steven
Caution.
Spees.
Caution is out. It's Kurt Smith, Joe Segala, Jason Menda, Todd Liston, Kenny Kibbe's also in it. Several cars in trouble, and we are already under yellow.
Well, yikes. That didn't take too long. Well, we'll take a look back here on the GSRC replay machine. Here is Segala, Lowell Jewell, getting aggressive on corner entry. I like that. You see the speed that he gains. But watch that black in green number 81. Happens in front of him and just absolutely nowhere to go. And Kurt Smith not able to get on the gas in time. Woo! Extracurriculars going on in turn 1 as well.
Several cars may have to use faster pairs. It's Donnie Moore who hits Gebel, who made a start last week, and everyone else piles in a track blocker. Morton was struggling badly on the cold tires.
Yeah, and you know what? Justin Moore is one of those, or excuse me, Moore, man, you just look, there's nothing that anyone else can do. It's just one guy has one small issue, and you see the entire back of the pack. When you have a 20-car field, boy, that just does not help.
What a dodge there we've seen from a couple drivers. Bruce Pearson, Lowell Jewell, Bobby Rafferty among the drivers who just missed it. Just about everyone else at least got a shot involved in that. Kurt Smith does not use a faster pair. Liston made his way to the pit lane after that. Segala also had to use a faster pair, as well as a couple others, as a result of this caution flag. This was a trouble spot, mind you, for the modified race, where drivers struggled on the short runs. Once they got a long run going, though, they can get some clean racing together.
Yeah, warm up those tires. Cold tires are always difficult because the car always feels looser and it changes so quickly, but you gotta be smart about your faster pairs now and being conservative if you did have to take that faster pair.
Donnie Moore has lost at least a lap as a result of the caution flag. Menda several laps, as off and away is Spees. Morton, though, with a good jump on the outside. Lowe already up to 3rd. Shepard already up to 4th. Remember, Kitty was just involved in that incident trouble, as well as back in 14th as Morton takes the race lead.
Boy, the front row just ran away from everybody. They were gone, and now James Lowe and J.R. Shepard want a piece of this action. Right up on the rear bumper, Steven Spees, but it's Justin Morton who everyone's following right now on the track.
Going on board with J.R. Shepard, 14.3, the quickest lap so far, just set by Justin Morton. And one thing to keep in mind with this on board is, one of the key things, especially with this tire model, the V7 tire model on iRacing, is if you are, say, quicker on the gas, like lightning quick reflexes, that can be a major shock to the tire itself. If you are gentle onto the throttle, some drivers will tell you, you will be able to save that right front tire. So all of that can be crucial, not just your marks, but how quick you even get back to the gas.
And another thing that changes lap to lap by driver preference. Oh, as we got another yellow flag here. It looks like Adam Gebel involved in another incident here.
Mike Allen already to the pit lane.
But what
So
I was
Mike,
gonna,
go ahead.
yeah, what I was gonna say there was, and this might actually be a portion of what I was gonna talk about here is tire input or wheel input is a big difference as well. So you'll see the 91 here get a little bit loose coming off the corner, I believe, or it might be the next lap here. But being able to put in a little bit of wheel input. Oh, Davis. Looks like two guys with just two different braking and throttle inputs there, and just, boy, you hate that for the guys behind with nowhere to go. There's nothing you can do.
Allen, nowhere to go. You can see cranked it already 45 degrees to the left, and he was already past the commitment cone. If he tried to back that up, that would be an unsafe pit entry and a penalty. So, he'll lose some positions, get significant damage to the front nose. One lucky dog this time, Jason Menda, will get his lap back. Kurt Smith was also waved around the pace car.
Well, with all of this going on, Bobby Rafferty has made the move up into 10th. Kibbe has fought his way back up to 11th. Still a long way to go for those two, Justin, but at the very least, at least a little bit of time here to kind of regroup, and now they will both be in the top 12 positions the first 6 rows here on this restart. But man, I tell you what, I'm just impressed by that front row. Spees and Morton have just burst away from everyone on the initial start in that first restart.
Yeah, but then they've been good on the launch. The tough part is, though, we've seen it with the speed from Morton compared to Spees. Spees is really backing it up, his entries. Morton's been really pushing. That's been a trouble spot at some of the racetracks. You get a full distance run at some tracks, Devin. We've seen Morton really drop off.
Yeah, I like to say that Justin Morton, he races a lot in the BRL Street Stock Series on dirt, and he's the guy typically with the steering wheel pointed to the right the most on these short tracks.
Yes, indeed. 84 laps to go. This time by Morton, Spees, Lowe, and Shepard. Your top 4. Off and away goes Morton. Just about clears himself into turn 1.
Spees able to get up right behind the bumper of Justin Morton. Meanwhile, the battle behind them for third, James Lowe and J.R. Shepard, the 98 and the 99 door-to-door. And Shepard trying to use that outside lane to his advantage. So far, so good, being able to keep up this battle for third.
You can already see how much Spees has pulled away as a result of that side-by-side battle by 2/10 last time. Lowe still not able to clear by Shepard in the backdrop. Austin Belke and company already 3 car lengths back of that side-by-side for about 5th on back. 81 laps to go this time by, as Lowe not giving up and Spees not giving up for the race lead. Got a decent run off the corner. Morton, though, better on the entry.
And these are fixed setups here in the Grand National Series for the Bootleg Racing League, but as these tires wear out, you will see driver preference. While it's not a setup, being able to set up their car into the corner will vastly change, especially maybe to make some moves, enter high, cut down low, dime in the corner, exit high, and try to get some momentum on these high banked corners and the straightaway as well. Lowe finally able to clear J.R. Shepard, and you have to wonder, you use some extra tires sometimes, having to battle side by side. Did J.R. Shepard go, you know what, just go by me, gonna conserve some tire, and I'll get back to you here in just a couple laps.
Even then with the fixed setup series, having setup knowledge can be beneficial, because if you can look at this specific setup for the race and say, okay, this is how this car is going to react, you can then account for that when you're in the racing car, because there are some different types of setup configurations that can affect if it's going to be tight on the long run, if it's going to be loose on the long run, if the car is going to bottom out and you have to adjust the brake bias, etc.
And we talk about how J.R. Shepard is so good at that, and that in part comes from his experience helping his dad when he was a kid on his dwarf car on dirt, basically a Dirt Legends car. And we got another caution now out on the track, and it's Lowell Jewell.
The boss man already to the pit lane as a result of the caution, and this time gets a huge shot to the front nose and elects to come in to get the faster pair quickly. Take a look at the GSRC replay. Lost it on his own the whole corner.
Boy, that's a wild one, and that's one that you pray that you're able to save, not because you're not going to lose speed, just because you would love to clip that replay. Drifting through all of 3 and 4, but unfortunately unable to clear that. And with that incident, you saw the black 14 of Kenny Kibbe directly behind him as immediately Lowell Jewell gets the faster pair. But Kibbe now up to the 7th position, So he is going to restart even further up on the field this time in the third row.
Yeah, the caution flags are actually helping him at this point. You see him right now in front of Bruce Pearson, right behind Brian Dean. The more cautions and the more restarts, the more chances he can jump up past cars as they are stuck on the high side on these restarts.
Yeah, and it's just so much easier to pass cars when they're right next to you or right in front of you. You don't need to run them down, and that helps out the tire, because when you have to run through the pack, you wear out your tires quicker. Well, in this instance, all the cars just come right back to me. Makes it so much simpler, now able to conserve some more tire as he moves by those cars, fighting his way into the top 5, just 2 spots out of that position.
Absolutely. It's Nocturnal Gaming Machine. Just about back where he started this race as we get ready for another restart. That'll be next time by. Your biggest mover so far, by the way, is Bobby Rafferty, and that's to the surprise of no one. He ran the full calendar last season. He was competitive and won some races in the number 7 car. He's only ran a few races this year, though, for Jim Beaver Esports. So he's going to be starting behind Kenny Kibbe here.
And we're in season number 4 of the Grand National Series. And Bobby Rafferty, one of only 4 different drivers to win in this series. It is hard to win here. He's one of them to do it, and he can get back to victory lane here in 2020 season 4, I'm sure.
This might be the night. We'll have to see. But for Justin Morton, it's been his night to control the field along with Steven Spies. They're the 2 leaders so far. Green flags back out. We're backing away with 70 laps to go. Spies this time tried hard to keep it on the high side, bobble the car on the exit. James Lowe, though, not able to send it as Spies able to shut the door on the bottom and force the side-by-side several rows deep.
Door to door, 2 rows deep, and another caution on the track, and it's Mike Allen again turned the wrong direction.
Mike Allen is not having a fun night in that 59, and this time it was help again from the 77, Chris Davis, involved in his second incident.
I think Davis just gained on the gas sooner than everyone. I don't know if he's not expecting people to be accelerating faster or what the deal is there, but that's the second time that he's had an incident like that. A little bit newer here to the BRL Grand National Series. We see him on the dirt side quite a bit here, but we'll take a look on board. Driving into one and just, I don't know if he just doesn't want to get on the brakes, a little hesitant there because that will kill your straightaway speed, but not a good look.
Yeah, way too quick on corner entry. Almost looks like he's carrying too much speed in general into that corner. Keep in mind, he has 19 official oval starts in his iRacing career, the last of which did come recently on November the 9th, so he has been getting into oval racing on the pavement. He has actually also had a race where he did come away recently with the victory in the service, but it was on the dirt. That's an official racing, keep in mind. That doesn't include potential league experience, but still, that is a lot of contact already with 2 cautions for the 77.
Yeah, so got to clean up a little bit here, but another caution doesn't advance Kibbe or Rafferty at all, as that was a little bit too quick, but everyone a chance to recompose themselves here. And something, it's almost like when you're watching football and there are teams who like to get the other team in their offensive formation, and you call the timeout and go, okay, this is what they were going to do. Well, now you get a chance. You saw how your opponents restarted here. So it's almost like you get that timeout. Okay, I saw J.R. Shepard was going to try to do this to me. I saw Steven Speed was going to try to do this. Or I'm following Kenny Kibbe. He made this move. I need to follow him. So cautions like these are sometimes extremely beneficial for those who you'd have no idea. They're just watching on and being able to see what happens in front of them.
In regards to Chris Davis, by the way, with this dirt experience, did run in Dirt Kart's esports series throughout the summer. In fact, at one point got a 7th-place finish that earned him $20 in one of those official races. Several different pro competitors raced in that respective series. But with 63 laps to go, it's Morton and Spies, and on the front row, it's J.R. Shepard now on the bottom side with the scoring loops, with James Lowe on the top this time. As a result, Shepard already fighting for second.
Look at how quick he made that. We talked about Shepard and some patience, and Holloway is in the inside wall on the back straight. We stay green, though. But as I was saying, Shepard there, a great restart, probably the best restart from third that we have seen all day. He was patient and was able to make the move on 2 cars in a span of just about 2 corners after trying to fight with Lowe for a few laps.
That made it look very, very easy. Now for James Lowe, needs to get past him to try and keep up with the JR Shepard now. After their good hard fought side by side. Just can't get there quite yet. Brian Dean also continuing to show his good speed, and Kenny Kibbe is already up to P6 once more. 14 sixes by the lead cars. For some of the competitors who had clean space at the jump, that is already 0.2 of a second fall. For the others who are stuck in traffic, they're setting some of their quickest lap times right now.
And sometimes when you are in traffic, that can even help you adjust your braking zones. And sometimes you're forced to actually conserve your tire. And then major cautions like this, having a lot of cautions, helps you not have to run through the pack and use your tires up more. Right now, there's probably some drivers in the back of the pack who've been able to be more relaxed. Well, maybe relaxed isn't the word, but having to be more hesitant and using their tires, while Justin Morton has been out in front using up his tires and setting the pace. Where there's some drivers in the back who might even have more tires than the leaders up front just because of the pace that they're trying to put on this early in the race with a boatload of cautions.
And there's 2 different lines being taken here. By the top 2, you notice a little bit more of an arc for Morton, trying to double apex it, but not quite touching the bottom. Shepard a bit more flatter entry right to the bottom and then higher up on the top. James Lowe has got him by for third. Caution is out for Austin Belke, though. Belke had been shuffling to the bottom of the racetrack off a turn 2 here and there. It's the backstretch that sees him split around there.
And it looks like another incident with a little bit of help from the rear bumper. Bobby Rafferty trying to make his way up through the field, gets on the gas way sooner than Belke and gets into his rear bumper.
Take a listen in and watch the hands and listen to the engine here in turn 2.
Yeah, that car was going around before Rafferty got to that rear bumper.
Yeah, it looked like he realized that you didn't even see him go up on that on the rev limiter. So he definitely was trying to get off the gas to catch it seemed.
And that's a spot where when you're Bobby Rafferty, there's only so much you can do when the car's having to brake check in front of you. Nothing intentional, it's just Belke was trying to get back on top of his car there, and there wasn't any time with Rafferty breathing down his neck. Unfortunate for Belke, who was having a really solid run tonight.
Mike Holloway, by the way, taking the faster pair, it appears, this time after his contact that did not bring up the caution flag. Lowell Jewell, the lucky dog. Donnie Moore, your only driver off track, 44 laps down in 20th position, and is out of the car, currently watching the action at the moment. The caution flag, though, helps James Lowe a little bit. If he can time up a good launch behind Morton, he can keep the fight up with Shepard, because Shepard really got helped out by getting the bottom line the last restart.
And your Kenny Kibbe and Bobby Rafferty update of the night. Kibbe right now in 6th, Rafferty in 7th, so they continue their trek up through the field. Someone who we haven't talked about, though, he's been in the top 5 for nearly the entirety of the race thus far. And that's Brian Dean having himself another good race right now in the 5th position.
Back-to-back good races, in fact.
Yeah, Dean's just one of those guys, quiet good finishes throughout the year typically, and that keeps him in the points hunt and hunting quite a few spots typically.
Well, in regards to the points hut, they do give out a lot of points, mind you. Very punny. Halfway this time, green flag is out, back on our way. More than a bit of tire spin, a great launch for Shepard, though. He shuts the door on James Lowe.
Immediately, J.R. Shepard did a great job getting down to the bottom of the track. James Lowe gets caught behind Steven Spees. And now Kenny Kibbe trying to use that outside lane. Lowe way up the track, and they're 3 wide behind the leaders.
That's Bruce Pearson up there, and you just seen track temperature is rising a bit. 86 degrees Fahrenheit is the track temp, and that sees Brian Dean spun. Caution is out yet again.
And Justin, I tell you what, I took a break last week and I wasn't on the call for the series. I think the week before that, I was jinxing drivers too, saying that they had a great race. Boy, the yellow cars tonight, just magnets on the front bumpers or something. Any car with a 7, watch out for tonight. I'm not saying it's intentional or anything, but wow, that's just weird.
Well, that's more so an orangey yellow than a yellow.
True, very true.
But still, Brian Dean still looped around there, and just like that, good run sees him towards the back. He did fall off a little bit at the bull ring down on the long run. Had to try, hope for some luck to get back to the field. With the caution flag low, shuffle back to P5 now, though. And Kenny Kibbe was able to make the pass for P4 just at the time of the caution flag. So Lowe is starting to slip back a little bit on these launches, and Kibbe is pulling on forward. Of note, by the way, Donnie Moore cannot rejoin the race likely since he blew his motor in the pit lane, so even if we want to jump back in, those chances are gone.
That's a tough one. If he was trying to repair the car or something, that's happened to me before, and you're sitting there and you're not paying attention to where the gauges are. You're like, oh, you're sim racing, right? The engine's not supposed to explode.
Well,
by just running it on idle.
If you jump out of the race car and spectate and forget to say shut off the motor if you have an automatic start, guess what? That motor keeps on ticking and ticking and ticking and basically revving in idle, and eventually, if you idle it, you can pop the motor. Regardless of the car type, it can happen in the Cup cars, the Xfinity Series cars, the NASCAR Gander Outdoors Truck Series machines. Even these machines. Happens to everyone. 1 to go this time. 43 to go when we get back to the green flag. Morton, Shepard, Spees, Kibbe, Lowe, Pearson, your top 6. Rafferty, Liston, back up to 8th. Sagawa, Hardin, your top 10. See if the TDR machine can continue to be the Pied Piper in this one, or if the Cruise Shop machine can get the outside line working on the launch. Green flag's out, back underway. Shepard this time can't get to the bottom. Spees, though, can't fill the hole. Kibbe still keeping up the pressure on the top.
Orton just barely able to clear into 3. Shepard slides into a slim hole between him and Spees, but still trying to force that outside lane to make momentum is Kenny Kibbe. James Lowe battling for that 4th position on the inside of him.
And just shutting the door, and Spees getting a tap from behind. Check up for 3rd on back. Everyone holds on to it. And now it's double file, several rows, and more trouble in the back. Chris Davis looped it around nearly. No caution flag.
Bad day to have a 7 on your car. Just a bad day to have the number 7 on your machine. Boy, we still got 40 laps to go.
I mean, if you're going towards having a 7 on the car, Todd Liston was involved in some of the early trouble, so every car with a 7 on it has been in an incident today. Meanwhile, the cars with the 9s are 1-2. Morton and Shepard controlling the pace. More trouble as Bobby Rafferty is around. The 7s continue to strike. Mike Allen among the drivers having a check up.
What in the Friday the 13th was yesterday? What is happening tonight?
The 14 minus 7 is 7.
Oh, Justin, of course you had to say that. That's incredible. This is just weird.
Taking a look as there was that checkup there, and then you got some help.
From a car with a 7 on it. Goodness gracious. What are the odds?
Well,
1 in 10.
1 in 7, maybe?
Yeah, I'll take that. I'll take those odds.
Very punny tonight. By the way, Chris Davis did come down the pit lane and lost a lap. Electing to use a faster pair, so he will be in position for a lucky dog if there's another caution. Rafferty, as a result of the caution, also shuffled around 13th or 14th. You see him jostling for the track position to circle things around with Mike Holloway at the moment. Or at least, saying hello. Up +7 is Todd Liston, by the way, after his early incident. His car pretty much damaged, but is up to P6.
The engine hasn't blown yet, so he is okay. I want to go back to Steven Spees. We saw Kenny Kibbe just touch the rear bumper shortly after that restart. And I was watching on board. What a save on entry there by Spees to keep his race alive. And it's just been one of those nights where if you do get that slight rear bumper touch, you're spinning around. And Steven Spees using some of that dirt experience to keep that car straight, keeping up a top 3 run right now.
Indeed. He's been able to get some good launches. I'm curious, though, if we get a longer run, how he fares here, because it's been short run so far.
And we haven't seen anyone other than J.R. Shepard get a good launch from that 3rd place position to take that 2nd place position away. I mean, we are on a short track. That's where this typically happens. When you're on the outside, you lose 3 or 4 positions. But here at Southern National, J.R. Shepherd has had the ability to hold people off. And right now, Speed's just hoping, can I get a break here and take away that second position again?
33 laps to go this time. As Morton, Shepherd, Speeds, and Kibbe round your top 4. Highest car with a 7 in it is P6. Good launch by Morton. Shepherd this time fills the hole quickly. He holds on to second but tries the crossover. Shepherd looking, Morton slams the door.
That was, I have to say, aggressive by Morton just because of how close bumpers touching has taken out cars tonight. So I would have been a little bit more hesitant shutting the door right there. Kenny Kibbe in 4th right now in the black and orange 14. Boy, he's just trying everything that he can to make that outside lane work, and it just has not been rolling for anyone tonight.
Battle for the race lead. Morton shoved up the hill off of turn 4. J.R. Shepherd looking to try and get a 5th victory already on the season. Still side by side. Speed's also following on behind. Shepherd leads his first lap of the race. Trouble on behind. Gemmel is around to the racetrack. No caution yet as Shepherd now leads.
Shepherd nearly clearing. Speed's trying to roll right up on that rear bumper, trying to keep that 9 car stuck on the outside lane. As Shepherd takes the lead, it looks like for the first time tonight, someone can actually try to force someone behind them, but Morton pushes off of exit and now in a battle with Steven Speeds. Kenny Kibbe and James Lowe licking their chops right now.
Morton continuing to weeble wobble up the hill, looking like that right rear tire starting to go. Speeds better on exit. Better run though on the higher line. Speeds trying to slide up and push up. Can't still complete it, and now this is helping Shepherd half a second now the distance, and this is burning up the tires of Speeds, who is now just about clear for second finally after 5 straight laps side by side.
Shepherd just loves what he is seeing in that rear view mirror. Click on the cruise control right now. After making the pass, his lead is nearly 3/4 of a second on Steven Speeds, and still Morton trying to fight his way back down to the inside. He has lost 3rd position now, and here comes Lowe to the inside, looking to take 4th. And number 87, Todd Liston, trying to fight his way into the top 5.
Todd Liston, a great recovery for him underneath now. Morton, Jim Beaver Esports Machine, trying to complete the move. Morton lets him go, finally gets the bottom. Morton's tires look like they have melted off that car, similar to what we've seen last week, similar to what we've seen for a couple races this season, where he's been quick on the short run, then just starts weeble-wobbling up the track on the long run.
Hey, and you know what? If I was Morton, I would see that car next to me and go, you know, there's a 7 on that car. I don't care who it is, but 7 tonights have not been well. Just please get by me. I don't even want to deal with this right now. I want to be able to stay on the track. But Justin Morton, just like that, moved outside the top 5, and now another caution flag is out.
It's Mike Allen.
Oh, man.
And there is a 7 in the lap total for the caution flag, so there's that. As we take a look, Allen was having an adventure in the corner before this.
Wasn't 7 a lucky number? I thought it was a lucky number, not tonight.
Some people consider it unlucky.
That's true. I don't. Well, maybe after tonight I'll change my mind. Mike Allen doesn't like the number 7. Not tonight.
So Allen off to the pit lane and uses the fast repair.
Patience. Patience on that fast repair there. Mike Allen has had the worst night of anyone, potentially on the iRacing service tonight, and he had the sense of mind to wait 80 laps to use a fast repair.
I believe he just kept this lead lap as well, just got it in time, but J.R. Shepherd's at the front of the field. Not going to be easy to pass him. Also, though, Kenny Kibbe is up to 3rd already. After his trouble with the first caution flag, a great recovery for him. And this could be crucial for the points leader to try and minimize any potential damage if Shepherd wins this.
And as ridiculous as it sounds, your points leader this year, Kenny Kibbe, has yet to visit victory lane, just consistency, an average finish of 3rd. But J.R. Shepherd looking for that 5th win on the season after having that missed race with no drop week. He has to keep on winning races. He's more than capable of continuing to win races, and it's going to be tough to pass that cruise shop 98 here with less than 20 laps to go.
have a restart with 16 to go. By the way, give a shout out to Jason Mende. He's now your biggest mover of the race. He's right now in position for the pole if he can hold on to that spot. Trouble for that? He has Brian Dean in 10th, Mike Holloway back up to 9th, Austin Belkey, who had that trouble earlier, back to 11th. And there are several drivers who could still jump up, like Bobby Rafferty and company, if there is more trouble. 1 to go signal this time, 16 to go when the green flag waves, Devin.
Love seeing the 25-year firefighter veteran out there. Jason Mende trying to be on the pole. Worked on street stocks back in the day. Can he hold on? There's a fierce battle for 8th right before that caution.
Absolutely. Let's see how fierce this fight is. J.R. Shepard hits Spees. Big tire spin and big contact as Kibbe forced to check up. Shepard still clears for the lead. Spees up the hill. James Lowe falls behind Kibbe as the fight for second is on.
That could have been monumentally horrendous for both drivers, but now Kenny Kibbe an opportunity to take away P2. He does so, and now the 14 sets his sights on J.R. Shepard. He's trying to fight back, can't make it work, and now in the grasp of James Lowe, Spees trying to hold on to the final podium spot.
Back single file a little bit, and remember there was that little bit of a tap before. From the back end of Kibbe to the back end of the 55, Spees took a look there. A little bit close to the back end of there as well. Single file for the top rows, but look at that. Side by side, several rows deep for the position for the pole for next week's race. And that is at the paperclip, which will be very crucial, to say the very least. Bruce Pearson is trying to avoid his face, spins to the bottom of the racetrack. Caution is out.
That was scary for everyone fighting for P8 when you have a car going the wrong direction. Oh my goodness, the chrome horn tonight has been in full effect. In your GSRC replay machine, Lowe thinks about going, thinks better of it, gets back on the gas way before Spees does though, and right up in the rear bumper of the 55 and send the 55 to the back of the field.
Majority of the cautions tonight have either involved a 7 in the lap total or car number or a 9. This time, the 9's involved as the caution brings us to under 10 to go for the restart, and this could be one of the biggest restarts of the race. No time for Kibbe to try and react. It was either smack the inside wall or try and keep it off the wall and loop it.
And Justin, I want to go back to your expertise. Do you know a little bit more about sim racing than I do? What happened there on that restart? It almost looked like just Shepard and Spees almost went into each other, but you mentioned the tire spin there. I mean, how difficult was that for them to stay apart? I thought that one of them was going around.
It almost looked like, yeah, absolutely. It was more so probably Spees who had a bit of a jolt. Shepard pushed up. The second you start with the tire spin is you lose traction to the pavement, as you well know. Once that happens, you basically have to hope you don't loop it up to the car on top of you. At tracks like Dover, for example, it's a commonplace with the concrete. At that track, especially with fixed setup races, to see massive incidents caused by the tire spin. A little bit more contact, or either a little bit more to the edge of the quarter panel with Shepard's car, or a little bit less of a give and take from Spees, might have seen a massive crash down the front straightaway. There had to be a lot of patience there if you were Spees to not try and push it even further than what he just did there on that, well, on the start, I mean.
Yeah, now there's going to be no patience from anyone, I think. We're going to go green here with about 6 to go. No green-white checkers. There's a caution before the checkered flag. We're done. And so these guys are all gunning for those final positions. I hate late race restarts because that means everyone has one last chance to gun for multiple positions, and that brings out the chaos.
This could decide the race. But no return coming up at 5 laps to go estimated. Shepard, Kibbe, Lowe and Mort in the top 4. Green flags out. Back on her way. Lowe with a good jump. Shepard with a better one. Kibbe can't get to the bottom side yet. He tries to keep the top line, and this is exactly what Shepard wanted to see.
Side-by-side racing, 2 rows deep, and Kibbe stuck on the outside. James Lowe to the inside and takes over P2. Justin Morton trying to make that outside lane work as Todd Liston is battling for the 4th position. And right behind them, how about Jason Mende? He's up to 6.
He's the biggest mover now at plus 12 on the race. Holloway is in the current pole position for next week. We are past the point of no return, under 4 laps to go, as Liston continues his recovery drive as the caution is out. It is Spies for a second straight yellow with 3 laps to go, and that may do it.
Yeah, I think that's going to freeze the field. No green-white checkers here. Back on your replay machine. And we talked about earlier that Steven Spies was already having to deal with a loose race car, and then he gets contact from behind him, and then just even tapping the apron right there. I mean, iRacing does have blowouts on these cars. I want to know how close that 55 is to having a tire go and blowing out.
Well, the iRacing service, you need to get to 0% on one of the tire treads, inside, outside, or the middle tread. I don't know if we're towards that point yet, but it's essentially the way these tires react if you have several spins is it reacts similar to what you may feel with the flat spot, where you burn up those tires, you're not getting those temps likely down unless you really back it on down. But white flag is out. Shepard, another dominant second half of a race for him.
And I always like to talk about the little guys who we don't talk much about. Todd Liston from 13th to 5th. A great run for him. We've seen him put on some good runs, but never put it all the way together. And Jason Menda, 6th place. Great to see him with a great run.
He was involved in the first caution. Menda able to get through some of the trouble in his 45, but it's J.R. Shepard yet again winning in the BRL's Grand National Series presented by the Cruise Shop and by Motorsports Drop. Can anyone stop Shepard at this point? Because he might do it again. He might get the full season and full year's championship sweep for this series.
What an incredible feat that would be if J.R. Shepard can pull this off, and he just gets closer and closer. And I think all the competitors fear that what they knew was possible may likely even end up the outcome.
He'll get ready to do his signature burnout. Always does it on the backstretch to start here, then loops it around towards the front stretch before posing for the photographs. Let him have his celebration moment. You're watching the Global Sim Racing channel for the virtual Southern National Motorsports Park on the Global Sim Racing channel. Welcome back to Global Sim Racing Channel's coverage of the BRL's Grand National Series, presented by the Cruise Shop and by Motorsports Drop. On the virtual Southern National Motorsports Park, It was the night where you didn't want to have a 7 involved in your number or in the lap. The 7s had a rough one for the most part, but in the end, it's the drivers with the 9s who go 1-2. It's J.R. Shepard and James Lowe who finish in those positions. Kenny Kibbe rounded out the top 3 after being involved in the first caution flag of the night and finishes in front of one of the other cars with 9s, Justin Morton in P4. The number games continued with Todd Liston. He was involved in the first caution flag and recovered in a beat-up back end of the race car. Todd Liston's top 5 run this evening. Jason Menda, Brian Dean, and Mike Holloway rounded the top 8. Those drivers will have the inversion spots for the paperclip in the final race in the Moonshine Challenge next week. Austin Belke and Bruce Pearson rounded up the top 10, Devin.
And it feels like all the bad luck ducks are back here in the second half of the field. Lowell Julie, he had troubles. He's in 11th. Rafferty had his troubles in 12th. Although we didn't get to talk much about Jeffrey Harden, Kurt Smith, they get 13th and 14th. Chris Davis with trouble. Segala in 16th. Steven Spieth 17th. Mike Allen ends up in 18th. Adam Gebel in 19th. And just almost 100 laps behind the field due to his own difficulties. Donnie Moore rounds out your 20-car field here at Southern National Motorsports Park.
Another interesting race, another victory for J.R. Shepard. Make it 5 on the season. J.R., congrats. How would you describe this win tonight?
A lot of luck. This it's not one of my favorite tracks just because it doesn't fit my driving style, especially with these heavier cars. So yeah, it was just in the right spot at the right time, and was in the correct lane on some of the restarts, and that got me to the front. And once I got in second spot, I knew I just had to work Justin over a little bit, and he just made one little mistake, and it was just enough for me to get under him. So that's all it took tonight, thankfully.
Why do you feel this track doesn't fit the driving style with the heavier chassis, in your opinion, then?
I'm not 100% sure. A lot of guys seem like they're able to get into the corner a lot harder and get the car slowed down and rotated a lot better than I can. And my driving style is usually about arcing it in and lifting a little bit early to get a good run off. And it just doesn't seem to always work here. So yeah, just surprised that it worked out tonight. This track's been good to me in the past, but it's also been bad. So I'm kind of hit or miss here.
Well, the next race, you have the privilege of starting in the middle of the pack for Martinsville with the win tonight. While you've already essentially clinched the Moonshine Challenge Championship, it's the final race for that. It could be a crucial one for your championship hopes for the overall season, as there's a chance you win yet another championship the way you've been closing up after missing with the early races.
Yeah, it's I wish you hadn't told me that Martinsville was next. I didn't know that, but that's going to be a rough one for sure. Probably a lot of contact just from the way the tight racing is there. But yeah, we'll have to see. I don't think I have a legitimate shot at the championship with the way the points are when you miss a race. But anything can happen. So some guys are going to have some bad races, and they've been really consistent this year. So we'll keep at it and just see how it works out.
Yeah, at the moment, by the way, Kenny Kibbe is still the points leader, but you did close up an additional 2 points. You were within 30 points of the top 3 drivers right now, who are all separated by 6 total points. With that, anyone you want to thank before I let you go?
Yeah, big shout out to the Bootleg Racing League for putting this together for us and allowing us to race on the weekends, and of course to the crew shop for being on board the car, and to the crew shop and the Motorsports Drop for being great co-sponsors of this series. So they allow us to do this, and we really appreciate that. And congratulations to James and Kenny. They finished up front tonight. Kenny was going to be tough if he could ever get in that right lane. So just got lucky tonight.
Congrats on the victory.
Appreciate it, guys. Thank you.
J.R. Shepard, another victory, another one to his trophy case. Tonight, though, it was a crazy run for drivers like James Lowe, back and forth amongst the top 5 positions. He's now with Devin.
Yeah, a wild one in the Chrome Horns. I can't even speak after this one, but a wild one nonetheless. And James, you kind of were a little bit back, a little bit forward. You bring it home in second. What was the most difficult part of tonight for you?
I don't know. Just getting in the right lane. I had to start outside a couple times there. That wasn't a great spot to be in, but other than that, I was trying to take it easy, and it's a little bit faster than a couple guys, and they didn't want to give it up too easy. So short track racing, it happens, stuff happens. So we came in second, so we can't ask for much more. So we'll take it.
And plenty of drivers went from the front to the back on occasions, multiple times throughout the night. What did it take mentally to keep all four wheels under you? We saw a number of drivers have issues, and we're actually watching the replay now where you get into Steven Spies just a little bit, but obviously it was difficult for everyone here tonight. But mentally, what helped you kind of be able to push through everything and not be one of those drivers who ended up heading to the back?
Well, I ran the same pace all night long. I lifted in the same spot every lap, and there was a lot of guys driving really hard into the corners, and I knew eventually, that wasn't going to work out too good for them. But yeah, we just tried to take it easy and save the tires. And there at the end, I think we had something for old JR, but we just didn't have any laps to do it with.
Who do you have to thank for a second place performance here tonight at Southern National?
Yeah, I think my team, Balls Out Racing, Cruise Shop, Motorsports Drop, Lil Jewel for putting all this on, man. It's a great series. We have a lot of good races, a lot of fun, and you guys for broadcasting, man. Y'all do a great job.
Well, some great races. A weird one tonight, but James Lowe able to bring it home in the second position. Justin Prince is caught up with third-place position finisher Kenny Kibbe. Boy, I tell you what, he had his journey through the field tonight.
Yeah, good recovery drive from the first incident of the race. Kenny, how are you feeling? Podium position.
Oh, ecstatic. I mean, after all we went through, this is like a win. I mean, once I got up and into even the top 5, I'm like, okay, this is perfect. I don't need any more after all that we've been through. But yeah, to be even up there in the mix with the title contenders, and even kind of have a shot at the win, I mean, that was more than I could even ask for. I just really thankful that we were able to get back up through the field. And stupid mistake on my part at the beginning, spinning out. Just lit up my tires on the corner before and had no grip exiting the next corner. So thankful I didn't tear the car up and were able to get back through there.
How difficult was it to try and push your way back through the field to get yourself in position to potentially win this race?
Well, it kind of depended on the restarts. The top line was okay for a few corners, but kind of all depended on which line was going, which line wasn't at the beginning. And I was pretty lucky in getting the right line. Most of the time was the bottom, but making up some ground and then getting another caution, resetting, doing it again, resetting, doing it again, and eventually found and then dodged some wrecks on the way up through there. And just try my best to keep it clean and save tires that I could in case we needed or had a longer run at the end, but just kind of right place at the right time, really.
Next race is at Martinsville. You are the points leader by 4 points still. How are you feeling?
Oh, pretty good. I mean, we'll start a few positions ahead of JR and one position ahead of James, so we'll have to try to see if we can take advantage of that. And hopefully we can get a good enough run there where you can spread the field out and just kind of run our own race. That's a track where people get bunched up. A lot of wrecks can happen there under the hard braking zones, but I feel okay there. If we can keep nabbing these top 3s, that's what we need to do. I'm more focused on the championship at this point. If JR keeps beating me every week, it doesn't really matter if it's just by a few positions. So I just need to keep focusing on the consistency and moving forward.
Anyone want to thank tonight?
Just everybody at the Bootleg Racing League, Global SimRacing channel again for the broadcast, Motorsports Drop and the Cruise Shop for being our sponsors tonight, and everybody at Nocturnal Gaming and everybody that rides along with me every night. Follow me on Twitch.
Congrats on the run.
Thank you.
Kenny Kibbe, P3 tonight. Like to thank him as well as the rest of your podium finishers, James Lowe and J.R. Shepard, for taking time to speak with us during post-race coverage for the Bootleg Racing League's Grand National Series. With that, we'd like to thank you for tuning in to tonight's race from Southern National, as well as like to thank the Bootleg Racing League and its sponsors, the Cruise Shop, as well as Motorsports Drop, for being a part of organizing this exciting series. We'd also like to thank the companies who provide the software and hardware for broadcast listed up on screen. Additional thanks go to Jude Lalona, provides our wonderful music. See the screen for how to get a hold of more for great work. Also like to thank the team tonight and Devin and Sean. If you'd like to find out more about GSRC including upcoming races, you can find it at globalsimracingchannel.com. If you'd like to help support the channel, you can check out our merchandise for sale at gsrc.storyvy.com. Or check out our social media on Twitter at GSR Channel, Facebook Global Sim Racing Channel, and Instagram at GSRC_Graham. Don't forget to head over to YouTube page and hit that big red subscribe button as well as the notification bell so you don't miss a moment from the Global Sim Racing Channel. As mentioned, the next race for this series is at Martinsville Speedway, and oh boy, that could be a wild one for the last race of the Moonshine Challenge. Be sure to tune in November the 21st. Estimated start time 8:45 p.m. Eastern for coverage, green flag 9 p.m. Eastern. We'll have upcoming races for other series listed up on screen, including in less than 20 minutes for now. It will be the South Sound Speedway Esports League action that taking place at USA in the Legends Cons. Be sure to tune in on the Global Sim Racing Channel in just a few minutes. Until next time, race clean, race hard. See you on the track.